Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's December the 8th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And I apologize about Friday. I did the old chart lesson and talked about something at the end as well, something uh, for 5 or 10 minutes, and I got through, and the entire video there was no volume, so um, that was the reason there was only just a short clip there. I just went ahead and showed you the trades that I took. But I just didn't have time that late on Friday evening to go back and redo the whole video again. So uh, but this is what I saw today. This was a little bit surprising. This came out of nowhere. There's a shorter term uh, trend, two-tiered channel in there, but in the bigger picture, there's a larger two-tiered channel. We spent a lot of the time around the midpoint today of that channel. Um, but that would have given you a target measure in this first move here. Um, Down to here. And this might have been a little difficult to find, but there's a reason these prices are bouncing right here and here. We kind of overshot it, but that gives you a clue that we may be going lower. You don't know that it's going to do this, but once it starts going lower, you're looking for a measured move. And so draw your line down here. This is actually just a tad lower than that, I believe, right there. And if you measure these two, they should be an equal distance. I'll see people try to put the midline in here, and they'll have it way up here or way down here, and it may fit there, um, but it's not right. And it might even be that right there because that looks pretty close. I like the way that fits better. But I originally had it up here because, like I said, there's a reason prices are bouncing right there. And I drew this an equal distance down here, and I think I originally had this right in there. But that's how you find those distances, and I like the way it fits here better still. Um, but let's quickly go through the trades. I'm a little late getting this done. One of the things I talked about Friday that I didn't get a chance to, you didn't get a chance to hear because there was no audio, but my office hours are a little erratic lately. Most of you should know, probably know by now. My father passed away recently, and my mother is not doing very well, and I'm having to take off a lot of time to help her with business things and just to help her cope. She's really struggling, so I apologize, but the chart lessons may come later. They may come right on time. It just depends on how my day is going. But I am in and out of the office more than I have been regularly, and I might be a little bit slower about answering emails if I have to jump out in the middle or disappear in the middle of the day temporarily. So just keep that in mind, and I appreciate you understanding. But I'm gonna try to do this one real quickly. It's real late in the evening, and I'm running out of time again. But I want to get it uploaded, so I'm gonna go ahead and go through the trades real quickly. I may move through these quicker than normal, but that's the reason because I'm out of time here. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I know most people are looking for this anyway. But let's talk about the trades, and we'll move on. This was the first trade I saw. Um, Notice that we had what you have here is you have a little trading range right here. You had this little trend moving down. You had a break. There's a failed second entry long right there, so you might have thought about entering right there, but I just think there's too much overlap. It looks like a little congestion area, so you kind of just sit tight. And finally, you get a failed break out the upside, and look at that, and you get back to the EMA, and look at that big bearish bar. I like going short there. I thought we might go lower, but you get your new low there. You're looking for a short here. You're not really looking for a long. Even though you get a failed second entry short right here, I don't think you want to take that either. This is just too much overlap. I don't have it on there, but let me just draw it on there because it makes it, well, I didn't mean to put that on there. It makes it a little bit easier to see. I always tell people to draw these lines because it definitely makes things jump out that you may not see. And you can see there's a trading range right there. And you had a little failed break out this side, although that's not really, I wouldn't really consider that. But this is your first break of this channel. So you're looking for a new low, and then you just kind of got hung up in that trading range. And then you get the failed break out the upper side, which is what you really want. And you go short right there. And I was hoping we'd get another leg down like that, but you don't. But you get an easy scalp, and you get your new low, and then it reverses. And because this is a trading range and you get a chance to get in right down here at the low, you really want to go long there as well. And again, you don't know that it's going to take off like this, but it could because you've got your break of your little overnight channel, a new low, and then it reverses. And that's what you're looking for. And then you get another chance to enter off that trend line right here. Um, it's just a first entry, but it bounces right off that line. You get a new high, and it could be looking at this all over again. I had this as a two-tiered channel, but looking at it, there was also a chance that there's a channel, and this is your break, and or this is your break, and then a new high. So you could have seen that either way. I think you get to the same conclusion. The only thing that's a little bit different about the way I did it here with the two-tiered is that this is your first break here, and if you use a stop here, this is a 5-tick failure. There's some clues to get out. Let me make it a little bigger. When you got up here and you got a doji and then it went lower and went up and you got another doji, that's your clue. You better get out of this thing. Something's going on. And if you draw that trend line across there and then you catch that next, that's the first two create the trend, and this one confirms it. And that's a great setup there. It's a second entry short too, but this one was a little iffy. If you didn't use a limit order here, you had a 5-tick failure or a 4-tick failure. You didn't get your 5th tick that you needed to get out. So when this turned down, you either had to get out here, but you really should have gotten out when you got one of those dojis right there, or the second one. Maybe not the first one, but the second one. Even the first one's makes it real iffy. But there's some other clues too. Notice how we didn't get back up there here, and you didn't get, and it's kind of falling over there. And so that's a clue that is losing a lot of momentum here. And there's been strong resistance across this area for some time now. Look how many times we've come up in that area and we always turn down. And so that's where we kind of been hung up. So that's another clue that you got to be careful here. And then when you got this little failed second entry long here, I like that. Look at that bearish reversal bar. Just go short there. And again, you don't know the bottom's going to fall out of it like that, but it does. And you start bouncing in here. There's a second entry short right here too. I'm not crazy about this one because you really don't have this trend line in place until now. And so if you wait till this one, it breaks higher and turns down. Look, it closes on its low. Just go short there, and then you're looking for a measured move like this right here. So you got a target of at least right here. That's your first target, but you should also draw it from here to here and see what you get. And so you get another target of right in that area. It went a little bit further than that, but this thing was really bearish here. Nice entry right there. Any runners would have made you a bundle. And then you get a failed second entry long there. I went back and forth about whether or not to make this one green because it's way away from the EMA. But if you see this possible midline in here, then you know there's probably a chance we might get another move down to the other side, and we end up getting that. And then you had one more little move up here. This one was supposed to be in green. I forgot to change it, but the only reason I like this one is because we didn't have a measured move on the bigger picture, and we weren't to the lower side. It's just like in the middle of nowhere. So there was a good chance we were going to go on lower, and we did. And I don't think you could take any more shorts until you had a correction. We didn't quite get back to the EMA. We poked through the midline a little bit. It's a really bearish reversal, and there are two legs in there, but this was a little bit risky too because we've already had two really big moves down. But generally, you'll test these lows again, and there's plenty of room between here and there, and it ends up going much lower. And it does the same thing again, but I just don't think you can enter there. It would have worked, but I think it's really, really risky. We were way overdue to come back, and you see what happens. It does when it does reverse. This is what we were overdue for. Then you get a big move up, and I don't see any way to get in that unless you wanted to just take a scalp back. I will mark that one in green. Actually, I'm not because it's a first entry. There's a little bit of a trap with that 1 tick, but you know, that you could see that over and over, and this thing could have turned up and turned right back down again. So I'm not even going to mark that one. You got to wait on a pullback, and you never get a correction till here. Um, I think that's a long move to be trying to enter. So you might even enter long there, but I just think it's too risky, especially as bearish as this thing was. Um, so just wait. No reason to go long. Um, we're still looking for a new low here, and you get a failed second entry long there. So I liked going short there. It bounces, turns back down again. Again, you want to wait on a second entry, and you really don't get one till right here, right back into this area where there was some support and some resistance. So I don't think you want to go short right there. And then it tries to go higher again, and you get a second entry right there. And again, I really thought it would take on off. It didn't. It was good for a scalp. And that gets you right into the 430, 230 time, and that one's really kind of pushing it. But I really like that setup, so that's a bearish reversal bar. So I like that one to the short side. And you might have even taken this one. I'll tell you what I will do. I'm willing to make that one green. It's always much easier to pick it out after the fact. But what I would have done here is after it broke below that one, let it maybe drop a limit order and see if you could get a good entry to get back down to the EMA. Simply because you're looking for that new low. Because this was the first break of this, and this is just a midline, so there's a good chance we could go lower. But it wouldn't surprise me either if you didn't go higher here because you've already come off the low side. So you got to be real careful in here, and you got to play this properly. I think it was too late to take that long there because there is that double test rule and a little double bottom and so forth. And so if it was earlier in the day, I might even like that to the long side. But it's just too late, and you see what happened. Nothing much else happened after that. I mean, nothing really much happened after, maybe 2 o'clock. We just kind of got hung up in that little, about a 3-point range. And, and on 3-point range, you can make money. And this looks really tight, but if you compare it, that's because of that big move. But if you just back out of this, you can see, it's not as tight as it looks otherwise. So, but that's what I saw today, and I hate to wrap it up so quick and not spend a little more time on each trade. But like I said, just got some personal things going on, and it's really interfering with a lot of my business stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up, and we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. But this is Mack with price. Actually, I'm going to back up 1 second. I can't remember if I talked about this. Notice that we didn't have a break of that little channel coming down. And that was another reason this trade was real iffy right here. So I can't remember if I talked about that. For whatever reason, when I look back and saw my little trend line, I didn't have the lower one. I couldn't remember if I talked about that. So just in case you entered there and you weren't sure about that one, and you got stuck and had to exit or took a little loss there, that's your only clue not to enter that one. I like that. I like that way it sets up. But your clue is that you didn't have a break of this and a new low yet. You don't get that till here, and then you never really get a good setup to the long side after that, not unless you entered just above this little bitty inside bar. And then I think you would have had enough to, even then I don't like it, but your entry would have been 2073.50, and no, it wouldn't have worked either. So, and you definitely don't want to, when this one is a doji right here, you definitely don't want to enter above it, but you might have thought about entering above that one right there. But again, your clue to exit would be when all these dojis stacked up there, and you can see why you don't want to enter on that one on the second entry. So just not a good place to, it turns out it's a great long trap, and you go short there. And that's a good indication that it was a good trap, because look at that thing go. But anyway, going to wrap it up. Going to get out of here. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.